Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Friday. Woohoo! We made it to the weekend. Yes. I have been waiting for the weekend all week. It has been a long, long week. Classes started back this week. It's been crazy. I am in need of a much needed break. Okay? Much needed break. But we are here and we are going to do the damn thing. Want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching on Rockfin. What's going on? Thank you so much. And I'm going to shout out some people in the chat before we get started with tonight's show. We had a lot of things to talk about. Shout out to Pitchforks Are Coming. Good evening. Hello. How are you? Always good to see you. I enjoyed your interview with Max. I learned a few more things. Thanks so much. I enjoyed that interview too. Max, God, can't talk tonight. Max Blumenthal is amazing. He's doing awesome work and very knowledgeable about foreign policy. So it was great to talk to him about what's going on in Afghanistan. What's going on, Hannah G? Biden. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to get into that. Hello, Kate. Biden has a wonky arrow protruding out of his ear. Explains a lot. Hunting accident or attempted. I can't say the word on here, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Things are not looking so good for Joe Biden right now. And I can't wait to talk about that. What's going on, Eric Thomas? Hello. That pic shows Biden's brains leaking out. Oh, there you go. It's one of those things. Shout out to Delthea Simmons. She's a Sabby's member. What's going on? Hello, Steve. It's always a pleasure to see you here. Greetings. Hello, Northern Witch. How are you? Northern Witch says, hello. Hey, that sounds like a British accent almost when I say it that way. It's really interesting. What's going on, Greg Bruce, who is also a Sabby member? Hello, Ben, giving his cringeworthy responses of late. Interviewing Chomsky in this very late stage of his life looks increasingly like a form of elder abuse. Oh man, we are going to get into that. Yeah, I have some things to say about Chomsky. What's going on, Troy? Oh, we're gonna start. Hello, Lawrence. Always a pleasure to see you as usual. All right, what is going on, Ashura? Great to see you. Hello, Nadia. Good to see everyone again. She says. All right, we are going to get into this. Hello, LMC 007. Or maybe it's double zero. Nope, it's 007. What's going on, Miss G? Hello. Great to see you. Hello, see the change. Sabby, good to see you. I need to quit my job and do what you're doing full time. Oh my God. I need to quit mine too, okay? we here. We here. Like for real. No. Yeah, I would my goal is to do this full time because my current job is crazy. I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter, but if you saw my tweet this morning, you'll know why. Came to work, a whole department is gone. Just gone. What's going on, Shayar? How are you? She or he said happy Friday to all misfits. What's going on, Valerie? Nice to see you. Hello, Matt. Always a pleasure. Greetings, Modi Bye. Good evening. I'm not sure what your picture is. I don't know if that's like a diamond or a smash window. Either way, it looks really cool. What is up? Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, Mr. X? Always great to see you. Shout out to Nancy Vanture, who says hi from Florida. All right. What's the weather like right now? I mean, I know there's been some tropical storms, but I wonder what the temperature is in Florida right now. It's already starting to cool off here in Boston. Like I wore a little light jacket today, believe it or not. All right. Shout out to old Dave. Thanks so much for the super chat. Love everyone at FHL. And we love you too. We really appreciate you guys' support, really. We haven't been doing this long. And we're getting a lot of support from people. Really appreciate that. Greetings, unknown space pioneer. Shout out Elizabeth Marshall. Just found you. You're brilliant. A Boston sister in Montana. I even said it like that. You hear that? You hear that? The Boston accent is not easy to do. It is one of the accents that actors struggle with doing like movies based in Boston and they have to have that Boston accent. It is not easy to do. I have been around a lot of people from Boston that actually grew up here, and they tend to have a thicker accent than those of us that moved here or lived outside of Boston. So, but some people have told me that sometimes I do sound like I grew up in Boston, but I think that just could be because of the people I'm around. I mean, my husband is like from here. So, you know, I hear his accent often, even though he says he doesn't really have a Boston accent. I beg to differ. He has an accent. Those of us, if you're not from here and you come here, you can tell. You can you can hear it. It's like, oh, greetings, Cameron Summers, Sabby. You are great. You know me on Twitter, but can't say my name here. LOL. There's a lot of us like that. There's a lot of us are like, we don't put don't put the same name on Twitter. Greetings, Where Pilgrim. How are you? All right. Welcome to Sabby Sabs Podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you are new here, just to let you know, Sabby Sabs Podcast is a part of the Fred Hampton Leftist Network. So you can see me there on Thursdays for the roundtable and on Fridays. Didn't have a show today, though, because I had a situation come up at work. That's a whole nother story. Need to leave my job. And you can catch me here on my channel Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday evening. I take the weekends off to hang out with the fam. All right. Yes, Eric Thomas says, I was born here. It's wicked pissa. I met Eric at the March for Medicare for All. Delthea said, people do Kennedy accents and say that's Boston. And that is very funny because most people in Boston do not speak the way the Kennedys spoke back then. That I think that's more of like an older Bostonian accent. So you don't hear people talk like that here anymore. Really interesting, though. Really interesting. All right. Greetings, Brenda V, who says she is a new subscriber. Welcome. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for the support. All right. We have some things to talk about tonight. There were so many stories. I try to pick, sometimes there's so many stories that are going on that week and I'm like, I need to narrow it down to 3 stories. Tonight was one of those nights. And I was just like, what am I going to talk about out of all these stories? So these were the 3 that I chose. And I'm just going to share my screen. So tonight, we are going to talk about Biden plummets, Chomsky isolation, and Ahmaud Arbery update. Something really significant happened with that case, and that is, I don't want to say that justice has been served, but I will say that we are heading in the right direction, but there's still a lot more that needs to be done. I will say that. Do you have a beer tonight, Sabby? I do not. I have tea tonight. I have tea tonight because what we have right now in the fridge beer wise is like sour ale, which I wasn't in the mood for that, and Boston Lager, which really isn't one of my faves, but it just is what it is. But I have tea tonight. I know, a little bit different. For those who don't know, if you're new to my channel, on Friday night, I usually have like a craft beer with my stream because it's the weekend. I'm just like, whatever, it's Friday. This is a chill moment, okay? This is a chill moment. All right, so let's get into this Biden situation. Let me go ahead and pull up my link because you may remember it was just last month it came out that Joe Biden was actually, his approval rating was decreasing. Well, that is continuing, ladies and gentlemen. That is continuing. I'm going to show you what's going on now because Joe Biden is not heading in the right direction. And if this continues, I hate to say I told you so, man, but I told you so. I really told you so because when Joe Biden won, they were like, oh, look how high his approval rating is. He's doing such a great job. Didn't even do anything yet. Just keep that in mind. And I said, Well, once time goes on and people see that he's not going to fulfill his campaign promises, his approval rating is going to decrease. I didn't think it would decrease this fast, but I knew it. I knew it. Someone was asking me in the chat, what is my favorite tea? The one I'm drinking right now, which is Bigelow green tea, that's my favorite. That is my jam. Green tea is really good for you guys, and it also helps like your waistline. Like if you want to, it's one of the ways you can trim your waistline without exercise. Got to drink more than 1 cup a day though. 1 cup doesn't cut it. All right. So let me share my screen because I I love it when I'm right. I don't always get it right, but what I do, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Biden's approval rating hits a new low after the Afghanistan withdrawal. This is on NPR. This came out yesterday. So let me scroll down. Here we go. I'm going to make this a little bit larger for you. That was too large there. Okay. Amid the chaos of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, President Biden's approval rating slid to just 43% in the latest NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll. I am going to make this a tad bit bigger and then just scroll down. Okay. Yeah. That's significant, you guys. Already. Okay. Now listen to this. That is down 6 percentage points from a survey conducted in July and is the lowest mark for Biden in the poll since taking office. The decline is principally due to independents. Aha! Independents. Just 36% of them approve of the job he's doing. This is a 10-point drop. That a majority of independents now disapprove of his performance is bad news for Biden and Democrats. They are a key swing group, one Biden won in 2020, but who now think that he is off track. I'm going to pop out for a second and comment on this, and then I'm going to go back into the article because I want to say something about the independents. This is very important. The Democrats, they spend a lot of time just trying to get the Democratic voters. They're good at that. But times have changed. People are moving further left. People are leaving both parties. The number of independents in this country has increased. Because going back to Hillary versus Trump, that was the moment for a lot of people in this country where we were just like, I don't want either one of them. That was the moment when some of us left the Democratic Party. Also, during Obama, that was the moment when some of us left the Democratic Party. Then we got Trump. And then you had some Republicans didn't really like what Trump was doing, but they still backed their party. That's one thing I will say about people on the right. For the most part, they stick together. For the most part. But Dems sleep on independence. They sleep on us. I'm an independent. I hate the Dems and I hate the Republicans. I'm just indie like that. And so if Biden is losing independent voters, he is not going to win come 2024. Someone write that down. If I'm wrong, I'll come right back. I'll play this clip come 2024 and I'll eat my words. But I don't think I'm going to be wrong on this. This is a huge problem for Joe Biden. A huge problem. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm willing to say that I don't think many independents approve of Kamala Harris either. So even if the Dems decide, let Joe not run a second term and let Kamala step in, it's still not going to work. It's still not going to work. The Democratic Party is losing independent voters. People like me, where I'm independent, but typically in the past I would vote Democrat because that was as close as I got. That was as close as I got on the social issues. Then Bernie Sanders came along and I started to feel differently. And I realized I don't really have to vote for Democrats. So don't tell the House slaves has already said it. Dems will lose. Dems are paid to lose. And Mr. X is correct. Nobody liked Kamala either. No, this is a huge problem. Let's remember here, during the 2020 election, Arizona, it was the independent voters in Arizona that put Biden through. It was the independent voters. He's losing them. I don't think Arizona will be blue in 2024. I know Georgia will not be blue in 2024. Guys, I used to live in Georgia. I know how Georgia works. And I know that when Biden promised people in Georgia those $2,000 checks, if they put Warnock and Ossoff in, there are a lot of people really counting on that money, especially a lot of people in Black communities really counting on that money. And then he didn't deliver. He didn't come through. He gave $1,400. Do you think those same people, all those first-time voters that came out to basically vote against Trump, you think they're going to come out heavily and support Joe Biden in 2024? I think not. First-time voters. That go to tell you they weren't really voting because they weren't really into electoral politics like that. They didn't really trust the system. I know a lot of people like that. They just don't trust. I told you I lost a lot of faith in this. They didn't really trust it. Now, you can't screw those people over. You screw those people over and you expect them to come out again and support you, you're delusional. That is not going to happen. I'm going to go back to the article because there's something else that it says here that I want you to see as well. There's a chart, and this is interesting. Hope you guys can see this. President Biden's approval rating dips after Afghanistan. Now, look at this, you guys. With Democrats, make this a little bit bigger. I don't know what that thing is there. What is that thing? I don't want to play your radio. I'm doing ad blocker this weekend. Biden's approval rating dips after Afghanistan withdrawal. Look at this. Among Democrats, he went from a 90% approval to an 85% approval. See the decline? He's declining. It's not just independents. Even Democrats are not approving of him. Now, that's not a lot of Democrats not approving of him, but still, even Democrats are starting to disagree. Let's go over to Republicans. Republicans, this one isn't as significant because there weren't as many of them that put him over anyway, but 6% approved, now 5% approve. But he's not counting on Republicans to win again. This right here is going to be a huge problem. Independents went from 46% approval of Joe Biden. It is now down to 36%. 10%, you guys. That's significant. If Joe Biden wants to win in 2024, he's going to have to make some drastic changes because they are not happy. I am not happy. Now, listen to this part. This is interesting. A whopping 41% of U.S. adults, including 82% of Republicans, now strongly disapprove of the job Biden is doing. That is similar to the unprecedented enmity shown towards President Donald Trump. I'm going to show you something about that in just a second. Now, here's the big one. On Afghanistan, 61% disapprove of Biden's handling of the withdrawal, including 71% of independents. Again, he is losing a lot of support from independents. This group is going to decide whether or not he wins in 2024. It's going to be the independents. Let's go down. Here we go. And overwhelmingly, 71% think the war in Afghanistan was a failure. And while they disapprove of how Biden handled it, they're split. Hold on to that, on what they think should have been done. 38% think the U.S. should have withdrawn, but left some troops. 37% think it should have pulled out completely. Guys, it's split in half, pretty much. So, what does this tell you? This tells you that all during Trump's presidency, when Biden was running on the fact that the country was divided, and yes, we were divided, he said that he was running on the soul of this country and he was going to bring everybody back together again. That was his thing. Remember, that's what he was running on. But what I just showed you about the disapproval of the way he handled Afghanistan, it's split. So what does that tell you? That means we're still divided. You can't blame this on Trump anymore now. We were divided under Trump, and now we're divided under Joe Biden. So much for him bringing everybody back together and healing the soul of this country. We are still divided. And this is what I was trying to tell you. It didn't matter if Trump won or if Biden won. If the issues that the American people are fighting for are not driven into policy, if the Democrats, Republicans, whoever, either one of them that would have won, if they did not actually implement some of these policies that we've been fighting for, giving everybody health care, increasing the minimum wage, canceling student loan debt, I told you it wouldn't matter who is in the chair. It doesn't matter who is in office. If the people who voted for you, the American people who are suffering, who are dealing with this failed economy, if we are not supported by you, if you're not fighting for us, if you're not changing things and fixing these issues that we have in this country, it doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat. We will not approve. We are still split. We are still divided. Trump is not in office anymore. You cannot continue to blame him. All Trump did, in my opinion, I think we were always divided, just not as public about it. I remember the days when people didn't talk about who they voted for, didn't have to tell everybody who they voted for. I think Trump pulled the cover off of that. I think Trump knew we were divided, and he revealed it. Shout out to LMC007, who just became a YouTube member, a Sabby Sabs member. Thanks so much and welcome. Guys, if you want to become a member, you can. When you go to my channel, you have the option to hit join and you become a Sabby member and you get cool perks with that. I want to give a shout out to this super chat from Frank. Biden's low numbers could be because he sucks. Yeah, I mean, you can't, guys, I said this, I said it before. What good is it getting Biden in if he's not actually going to implement the issues that he ran on? And I knew he wouldn't. It's Joe Biden. Dude's been in office for over 40 years. What has he done? What has he done that has actually helped us? What has he done that's helped the Black community? Because it sure wasn't the crime bill. Jim Crow Joe. We're still divided, guys. Nothing's really changed. Joe Biden's doing the same things that Trump did. He's just not as overt about it. He may not always tweet about it. He'll smile. He's covert about it, but he's still doing it. Now, how can Biden turn this around? I'll tell you, but he's not going to do it. Maybe implementing some of those issues that he ran on. If Joe Biden came around and canceled student loan debt, implemented universal health care, changed his rhetoric about if the Medicare for All bill comes to my desk, I would veto it. If he changed those things, his approval rating would increase. But he's not going to change those things. I'm going to check his approval numbers again in October, because if it continues to decline like this, Democrats, man. Oh, God. Mr. X said, I think Biden is worse than Trump, in my opinion. It's the sneakiness about it. It's one of those things. I've always said this before. You'd rather have someone stab you in the front than in the back. At least Trump showed you who he was. People didn't like that. People didn't like that too much. Let's see. Yes. Exactly. Eric Thomas said they all serve big money. Exactly. That's why they won't cancel student loan debt. He keeps talking about that the job market is on the increase. It's getting better. The economy is going to improve. You know how you can make the economy improve just like that? Canceling student loan debt. That's how. Just cancel it. You have all these kids out here who cannot buy a house. You got all these kids out here that can't afford to get married because of student loan debt. So if you want to improve the economy, you cancel student loan debt. That's money these kids don't have to keep paying all this money to all these student loan companies with high interest. They can take that money and put it aside for a down payment on a house. And you wonder why young people are not buying homes, why they're not getting married, why they're not starting families. What do you expect? People have a lot of debt. Just is what it is. Just is what it is. So it's just one of those things. Jilly Love said, you too might get rich as Obama if you are willing to kill globally and rob your country's people to prop up Wall Street. What can I say? What can I say? BS Man said, just to be honest, Trump was a pretty good president, only president with no new wars in decades. Once you real progressives give Trump some props, many Trumpers will support the fight for Medicare for all. That's interesting. That is interesting, BS Man. So I never thought about it like that. That's why it's interesting to hear from people. This is why I was saying, guys, it's good to talk to people who are not just on the left. It's good to hear from other people. Thank you for letting us know that. Still not a fan of Trump, though. But that's interesting to hear. Delthea Simmons said, remember, we have an election in 2022. Dems are going to lose both houses because of the inadequacy of Joe Biden and the duplicity of the Dem party leadership. And then when they lose the House and the Senate, you know what they're going to do? They're going to say they couldn't get things passed because they didn't have control of the House and the Senate. Isn't that what Obama said? Remember that? Remember when Obama had control of the House and the Senate for like 2 years? That's what they're going to do. That's why they're not trying to pass anything. They already got this in the bag. Look, it's already part of the plan. That's why they're not trying to they're not going to do anything. They're going to wait. Republicans get back the House, they get back the Senate, and then they're going to say, we can't expand healthcare because we don't have control of the House and the Senate. They're making excuses now, and they have control of both. They can't do things because of the Senate parliamentarian who we never heard of before. All of a sudden, this person has so much power, more power than Kamala Harris, the VP. She's supposed to be the tiebreaker. What is she doing? She's walking. That's it. Every time I see this woman, she just walking in that crazy laugh. If they're not blaming the Senate parliamentarian, they're blaming Joe Manchin. They can't do stuff because of Joe Manchin. He's supposed to be on their side. See, it made sense when they were saying they couldn't do things because of Mitch McConnell. He's not on their side. Joe Manchin is supposed to be on the same side as them. So you got someone in your own party working against you. What kind of BS is that? Somebody asked Bernie Sanders because he knows. Because he had people in his own party working against him. E. Heller said it's all Susan Sarandon's fault, Sabby. They blame everybody. Everybody but themselves. Everybody. William Martin said, "You go, girl." Thank you, William. I need to show you that other image I wanted you to see. Now, this is Trump's approval rating, and I want you to see this. Now, I went back because I like to dig. I went back to last year during the week of the election. I want to show you something. This is Donald Trump's approval rating. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And I can share this link in the chat if you guys want to review this yourself, because it goes all the way through. It's all the years, all the years. I go all the way back here. Where are we? 2020. I want to show you something, you guys. Right here. I hate it highlights everything. All right. The election was November 3rd. That was when we voted, right? Some people did early voting. You know how it is. But the week of November, actually the weeks of November 5th through November 19th, 2020, Donald Trump's approval rating was 43%. Now, why is that important? Because I just told you that Joe Biden's current approval rating right now, 43%. What is interesting is this is November 5th through November 19th. This is after Election Day. So even after Election Day, Donald Trump had the same approval rating that Joe Biden does now. Now, let's go a step further. If you go to October 16th, going into October 27th, Donald Trump's approval rating was 46%. So Donald Trump, during the height of COVID, where all that crazy mess, the economy was a freaking disaster, and we were just about to head into Election Day, Donald Trump had a higher approval rating than Joe Biden does right now. Somebody make that make sense to me. Let me pop out. I'm going to go to the chat. I'm sure people have some things to say. Somebody make this make sense to me. Anybody. Go into some of the comments in the chat. Eric Thomas said, "Who responds to polls though? Really, old people with landlines." That's true. I want to get polled. They never call me. They never send me a poll text, a poll email. Poll me. But I don't have a landline. I think a lot of people in my generation don't, to be honest with you. Yeah. Troy C said, "I'm at a loss, Miss Sabby." Right. How does that make any sense? Optimism of the will. Sorry, Sabby, it makes no sense. Come on now. Let's think about this. You got to think about what was going on during that time. It was almost, I know for me here, it was almost impossible to get a job. The job market was absolutely terrible. The economy was terrible. We were at the height of COVID. How is that possible? That's how bad of a job President Biden is doing. That's how terrible he is right now. Oh my God. Ashura said Trump did have 50 to 51% for the first time after impeachment. Yep. And in fact, I told you guys I would put this in the chat because I want to show you guys this. And you got to understand, if you go all the way back to the beginning of the first year that Trump was in office, his approval rating was less than that. At one point, according to this chart, at one point he was in the 30s. In the 30s. That was before COVID. That was before the economy was terrible. He increased during the time during COVID when the economy sucked. Now, whether you like Trump or not, there's something to be said about that. Emily J said 100%. Lucky Burrito Art and Music said Biden has a 47-year record that could never amount to what Trump could ever do. When I think about Joe Biden's career as a politician, I think about the statements that he made on the floor when he was trying to advocate for the crime bill, saying he didn't care how bad someone had it in their life. He didn't care. He didn't care what kind of environment they came from. He wanted them locked up. He wanted them off the street. Those are his words, not mine. I think about when Anita Hill came forward about Clarence Thomas. I said Clarence Thomas. And I remember Joe Biden wouldn't let Anita Hill's witnesses testify. And yet, at the same time, some people find it difficult to believe why some of us would believe Tara Reid. Let's all remember that. Don't forget. Don't forget. Joe Biden would not let Anita Hill's witnesses testify. And Anita Hill had evidence. Go into some of the comments in the chat. Exactly, Jilly Love. Biden, yeah, he was a pig to her. He was terrible. The way that they treated that woman, if you go back and you watch, I remember the trial was on TV, saw bits and pieces, but if you go back and you watch the video, the way he spoke to Anita Hill, Pat said, of course, Joe Biden wouldn't let Hill's witnesses testify. He doesn't believe women can be harassed. There you go. And so when people say things to you about like, why would you believe Tara Reid? When people bring that up to you, make sure you remind them of what Joe Biden did to Anita Hill. Why wouldn't he let them testify? Yeah, awful. Absolutely awful. It's very disrespectful. Stephanie said, I was young. I was mortified watching how they treat her. Same here. Imagine seeing that like as a kid like that. I learned early on, like, wow, people don't believe us. People don't believe women. Wow. And she was a black woman too. Just remember that. So no, I don't have to be happy that Trump's gone if Biden is the one who is in office. I don't have to be happy with Biden. I don't have to be happy with Trump. I can dislike both. And that's why when people come to me and they say, but the lesser of two evils, evil is evil. When people say you had to vote for the lesser of two evils, pay attention here. They're telling you that Joe Biden is evil. They're telling you Joe Biden is evil without saying those words. They're admitting that he's evil when they say the less of two evils. That's who our president is. Crazy. Crazy. Absolutely. Optimism of the will. Tara Reid. Tara Reid. These people, they kill me because, like, Alyssa Milano, during the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, she was tweeting and telling everybody we need to believe women. We need to believe Dr. Ford. But as soon as it was Joe Biden in this situation, all of a sudden it's Tara Reid's a liar. All of a sudden, believe women didn't matter anymore. She jumped right on that Biden train. Exactly, Lucky Burrito. These fools were the best we could do. Hello. Hello. There, at one point at the beginning, and a lot of people may not know this, but at the beginning of the Democratic primaries, at one point there were 22 candidates. You didn't see them all on the debate stage because they didn't meet the requirements. But there were 22 candidates at one point. And one of the candidates, Richard Ojeda, who announced he was running on MSNBC, when they listed all the candidates, they left him off. And he announced he was running on their show. 22 candidates running, and we ended up with Joe Biden. Exactly. Yeah. Valerie, the Dems stacked it against Bernie. They sure did. They sure did. But you also have to ask yourself, in the beginning of the debates, when Elizabeth Warren continued to say, I'm with Bernie. I'm with Bernie on Medicare for all. And then as it got closer and closer towards the end of the debates, notice how all of a sudden she tried to do he said that a woman could never be president. Remember that whole thing? She was really really trying there to get people to turn against Bernie. If they really wanted these progressive issues to win, Elizabeth Warren would have dropped out and she would have backed Bernie Sanders. If she really wanted these progressive issues to win, she knew she had no chance of winning. And yes, that's my senator from Massachusetts. And she's not as well liked here as you think. Everett said Wall Street wanted Joe and Kamala. They picked them, didn't they? They picked Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris couldn't even get a delegate. Kamala Harris at one point, when they showed on CNN support amongst African Americans, explain this to me. Kamala Harris support amongst African Americans was 1%. 1%. That's who Wall Street wanted. Absolutely, William Warren is a snake in my opinion. Yeah. I told you that didn't make any sense. This is why I was telling people even back then, if they really wanted these progressive issues to win, she would have dropped out and she would have endorsed Bernie. She stayed in through Super Tuesday. She knew she could not win. Thanks so much for the super chat, Frank. Anita Hill, Ernest Dickerson film, Strange Justice. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check that out. Anita Hill actually is a professor here in Massachusetts. I don't know if everyone knows that, but yeah. It's just, it's ridiculous. Brenda said Jimmy is right when he said that the Dems prefer to lose to Republicans than to adopt or back a true leftist. Exactly. Listen, they would have rather, if Bernie would have been the Democratic nominee, the candidate, the Democratic nominee, CNN and MSNBC, they still would have been talking against Bernie. They would have rather had Trump. That's how foolish these people are. They would have rather had Trump because Trump is still a capitalist. They still would have that. Delthea Simmons said Warren stayed in because Obama told her to stay in. And that's another problem. I'm going to get to the second story here in a minute. Just realize the time, but that's another problem. The fact that Obama was able to pull strings like that and he was no longer in office, that's suspect. The fact that Obama was able to pick up the phone and make a call and say, hey, Pete, Amy, drop out. We need your support to go to Biden. That's what they had to do to help Biden win. Think about this now. Your candidate is so weak, so weak. You had to beg the other people to drop out. Where Pilgrim said, I recall that some of the Wall Street types threatened to back Trump if Warren or Bernie won the primary. And that just goes to show you, again, it's all about corporate. It's all about the money. Both Dems and Republicans, they have the corporate donors. They don't want these issues to pass here. And we need to start demanding more. When I interviewed Professor Richard Wolff, one of the things that he mentioned is, man, in France, because his family's from France. He said in France, they're asking him, like, why are the American people not out in the streets demanding more? Why do they let their country treat them this way? Why do we? Why do we? Don't Tell the House Slave said Obama's first thing he did out of office was give a talk for a hefty speaking fee. That's what they do. Once they're out of office, they write books, they charge speaking fees, they get a pension. They serve capitalism. They don't serve us. They don't really care about our needs. They pretend to, but they don't. Thanks so much, Frank, for the super chat. FHL speaks for me from now on. Oh, thanks, Frank. That's so sweet. That is so sweet. Thank you. All right. I am going to go into the second story tonight because there has been a recent development in the Ahmaud Arbery case. And I want you guys to see this. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Give it just a second because I'm waiting for the ad to go away. Now go ahead and share. Now I want you to listen to this, you guys, because this is a doozy.
Nation, showing Ahmaud Arbery, who is black, shot to death while jogging in Brunswick, leading to murder charges against 3 white men who are scheduled to go on trial next month. But investigators, including then Brunswick DA Jackie Johnson, had that video months before it surfaced publicly. Why didn't she prosecute then? Now she's in trouble. A Glynn County grand jury just indicted Johnson for felony violation of oath of office. And also for a misdemeanor, she's accused of ordering police not to arrest the suspected triggerman, Travis McMichael, who is the son of Greg McMichael, a longtime employee of the DA's office.
It is not her job to tell them what to do or what not to do.
Atlanta attorney and 11 Alive legal analyst Paige Pate says the indictment also accuses Johnson of breaking the law in the way that she then got the case transferred to another DA, Waycross DA George Barnhill. Barnhill had already concluded that the suspects had acted in self-defense and he did not intend to prosecute them.
I think it was clear that she did want to keep the McMichaels from being charged, and that by directing it to a DA who she thought would basically share the same idea as she had about the case would keep them from getting charged.
Johnson emailed us last year, calling it all false accusations to make excuses and ignore the problems at the Glynn County Police Department. We were not able to reach her for comment on the indictment against her.
Okay, so when I tell you the criminal justice system is corrupt, ladies and gentlemen, for those who are not aware of this incident, Ahmaud Arbery, last year, I believe this was in February when this happened, but most of us heard about it during the George Floyd protests. This situation was kept quiet for a while. Black man jogging, apparently to some in the wrong neighborhood, a neighborhood that apparently had a string of break-ins, And this is one of those things that really hit me here because this is something me and my dad used to do. Down south, a lot of times when they're building new developments, new houses, you can go see those houses. This is before like it's completely finished and locked. They're still like building these homes in new communities. So a lot of times what people would do is we'd go for walks, go for drives, and you'd walk around and look at like the houses, maybe to see if you're interested in buying in that community. This is not a crime. People do it all the time. People do it all the time. Me and my dad used to do this when I was growing up. So Ahmaud Arbery was doing that. And the two men, the two white men that you just saw in the video, they took it upon theirself to play cop. Again, this goes back to the suspicious black man in our neighborhood. Instead of allowing the police to intervene, which they shouldn't have been involved in this at all, again, what he was doing is not a crime, but they were suspicious of him. They decided to take matter into their own hands. And they got in their truck and they chased him down and they killed him. And the woman that you just saw in that video, the woman's picture, the DA, she knew about that video a month prior. She already saw the video and kept it to herself. And you just heard in the video, she made it so that the gentleman on the right, she made it so that he would not be arrested. Hiding evidence. This just came out this week. Just came out this week. And you're the DA. So when I tell you that the criminal justice system is corrupt, believe me. You can't trust the DA to do their job. We have a problem. We have a huge problem. Ahmaud Arbery is gone. He's dead. These men killed him. And this woman was trying to protect the murderers. She was trying to protect them. Absolutely, Kate. In qualified immunity. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Lost Adult said the old one was a retired cop. You see, when people say that people have a right to a fair trial, not really. You really don't. If someone, the DA, is hiding evidence, you're not going to have a fair trial. Mr. X said those murders have close ties to the policies, to the polices. Yeah. It just, you just can't, you can't make this stuff up. What if this didn't come out? She's in a lot of trouble right now. A lot of trouble. You have to ask yourself, why would she go to such lengths to protect those two men? Why would she do that? Optimism of the Will said, you may have the right, but some sure don't have the opportunity. No, you got people working behind the scenes, people who are a part of the justice system that are supposed to do their job to make sure that justice is served, to make sure that Ahmaud Arbery's family gets justice served, to make sure do you guys hear why when people say defund the police, when people say abolish the police, it's not just the police, it's the entire criminal justice system. It is corrupt. Leslie says it here. You can't reform this. You can't. It's the system. When I talked to George Floyd's uncle, Selwyn Jones, you know what he said? He said it's not the officer that he's mad at. It's the system. It's the system that exists that allow these things to happen. Now, am I happy that the DA was caught? Absolutely. That is a step in the right direction. But that doesn't solve the overall problem, because the fact that she was even able to do it just goes to show you there are problems with the system. This just came out, you guys. Ahmaud Arbery was killed. This was back in February of last year. It is a year and a half later, and they just now have found this out. Eric Thomas said DA never thought she'd get caught. No, she didn't. And there's no telling. Has she done this before? They need to go through her whole record now. They need to go through all of it. Thomas has a good point. A for-profit prison, what could go wrong? It's just it. Bill said police unions negotiate their contracts with the city. Even that fix happens at the local level. It's just, this is terrible. This is terrible. Why do we have a system that allows this to happen? And I don't want to say it's just this woman. I'm willing to bet she's not the only DA in this country that has done this. She just got caught. A Trace said for profit government. Yep. Draft Tulsi said we are being prosecuted by criminals. Just crazy. Just crazy. Look at how long when this incident happened. Again, I told you, I believe this was February when this happened last year. Again, a lot of us didn't even hear about this until the George Floyd protests. That means those two men who killed Ahmaud Arbery, they weren't even arrested yet. All that time. All that time. Joy Duncan said, Sabby, that is 100% right on. Just think about it, you guys. I want you to really think about this. All that time they were walking around free. Ahmaud Arbery was dead. This woman had the video and she hid it. Jamie Nix said, go meet Anita Hill, Sabby. Oh, you're giving Sabby ideas. You giving me ideas? Giving me ideas. Greg Bruce said, reminder, Kamala had the same position and a higher version of it. Now do you see why some people were so much against Kamala Harris when she was running for president? Now do you see why? You see the things, the sneaky things they do? Lone Star Indy said, interview her, Sabby. I think I might do that. I might try to do that. Hopefully she hasn't signed anything that says she can't talk. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what Joe might have had up his sleeve. You never know. He might have been like, don't talk about this. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Eric Thomas said you need to elect clean mayors and city councilors, which gets into system fixes, public financing, and elections. So one of the things that I do tell people, I told you guys I don't have a lot of faith in electoral politics, but if you are going to run for office, I recommend doing local politics, running for mayor, running for city council. I don't want people to like hear these positions and think that they're not as important because you're not in Congress or you're not in the Senate. These positions are important. City council controls the budget. Yeah, it's not a big title, but you get more say so and you can actually implement change. I've seen people do that. Running for mayor. I've seen mayors come in. I moved into Boston where Mayor Menino was still here. He was mayor for a long time. before I was even before I was even here. When he stepped down and Marty Walsh ran, Marty Walsh came in and he made a lot of changes. I've seen these things happen. I haven't seen that happen much with our congressmen and congresswomen and with our senators. And don't even get me started on the presidents. So, yeah. Bill said at least third parties can win at the local level until the For the People Act passes. Yeah. Pay close attention to socialists that are winning on the local level, you guys. Shama Sawant, obviously, I know a lot of you know about her, but India Walton in Buffalo, New York, even though they're trying to get rid of that position now. Funny how that works. Lee Carter was a socialist who won in Virginia. I think that if you are further left, if you are a socialist, if you are anti capitalist, I think you have a better chance winning local elections. Ramsey said, I used to work at a place where people call cops for black guys panhandling outside. Yeah, I used to see that happen in New York. I mean, so what? Just don't buy it. If you don't want to buy what he has, just don't buy it. What are you calling the cops for? Just ignore it. Dodge him just like you dodge the people in the mall with the little kiosks that are like, do you want to try this perfume? Do you want to try this lotion? Dodge him just like you dodge them. Don't call the cops. Thank you so much, Chris Coleman. Keep up the good work. I usually have to download this. Thank you. Thank you so much. Optimism of the Will said, I think more and more people are realizing how critical local elections can be, a good sign. Shama Sawan. Look at how popular Shama Sawan is. She's making waves in Seattle. That's someone I really tell you to keep an eye on. She, like, I would keep an eye on her. Eric Thomas said, call the cops on the perfume lady. You guys ever, you know what I'm talking about? The people in the mall, they have the little kiosk in the middle of like the hallway, and you're just trying to walk by to go to the store, go to the food court, and here they come with their spray bottle, just like kapow, kapow. A friend of mine had a meme about it one time, and they said, this is the final boss in the video game, how to beat the perfume guy. B team said the cops inform capitalist relations. That's their sole function, to protect and serve the capitalist class. That's why cops were called on George Floyd. They protect the wealthy people. They protect the wealthy communities. This is why, even though if you go to what they would call a bad neighborhood, they kill me with that. If you go to a bad neighborhood, this is why, yeah, you may see a lot of cops in the area, but you don't really see them actually solve crime. Did you guys know that? You don't really see cops solve. I think I read it was cops solve, what is it, 0.02% of crimes? What are they doing? Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. Missed whole show. Sounds like DA did bad thing. Will rewind later. After Floyd, NYS shifted responsibility from the DA to Attorney General when it comes to police prosecution. That's interesting. I'll have to read more about that, Roger. But thanks so much for the super chat. Yeah, that is, you can't trust it. Public Enemy was right when they said can't trust it. Valerie said it would be great if Shama would run third party next. Ooh, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. All right, I have one more story for you guys, and this is about Noam Chomsky. Now, I don't know if you guys have been watching Noam Chomsky lately, if you've been listening to him, some of his takes. But aside from what I'm about to show you, the Vanguard interviewed Noam Chomsky. I think this was maybe like a couple months ago. It wasn't that long ago, maybe 2 months ago or something like that. And they asked him about force the vote. And Noam Chomsky said, it's like kids begging for candy. That Noam Chomsky said that. I was like, what the hell happened to Noam Chomsky? What is going on? He's another one that thinks Biden's doing a great job. I'm like, did somebody like kidnap Noam Chomsky, and the person that we're seeing in these interviews is actually just a hologram or something? This does not sound like the Noam Chomsky that I've read, the Noam Chomsky that I'm used to seeing in interviews. So he's at it again. Recently, he made a statement about the jab, and I want to get you guys' opinion on this. This is another one that can go both ways. He made a statement about isolation. I'm going to pull this up because I really was like, wait, what? I'm going to play this for you. So he had an interview recently. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I want to hear what you guys think about this. Because I really was like, man, I don't know. I'm like, what is going on? All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Let me mute my mic. And so Max Blumenthal shared this. Noam Chomsky says the right response to the unjabbed is to insist that they be isolated from society. All right, guys, you don't have to believe me. I'm going to play this so you can hear this yourself.
But I don't have the right to.
What are your thoughts on mandating vaccines?
Well, it's a mixed story. I think people who refuse to accept vaccines, I think the right response for them is not to force them to, but rather to insist that they be isolated. If people decide, I am willing to be a danger to the community by refusing a vaccine, they should then say, well, I also have the decency to isolate myself. Okay, I don't want a vaccine, but I don't have the right to run around harming people. I'll just, that should be a convention. Enforcing is a different question. It should be understood, and we should try to get it to be understood. If it really reaches the point where they are severely endangering people, then of course you have to do something about it. So if if smallpox turns out to become rampant again, and some people are insisting on running around public places where they might have smallpox, well, you've got to do something about it. We're not at quite that situation, but it's similar one. So I think we should first attempt to establish conventions that will be understandable by people with some moral capacity, try to convince them that it's your right to refuse to get a vaccine, but then it is your responsibility to isolate yourself so you don't harm others.
So, how can I? It's he didn't. It's like when you say they should isolate themselves. What like how long? And you mean like we did for quarantine or like why? Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you isolate yourself and you have a job where you have to go to work, you can't go to work. You can't work. So when he say they should just isolate themselves, who's gonna pay their bills? No, who? I just I don't understand. It kind of doesn't make sense because he says he doesn't think they should be forced to get it, but if they don't get it, they should isolate themselves. So not being around anybody, that means you can't go to work. Not everybody gets to work remotely. Not everyone got that benefit. So that means they can't go to work. That means they can't be around people. Who's going to pay these bills? Rome, not, I almost said Rome. Who's going to pay these bills? No. Who's going to pay their bills? I'm so, oh, guys, you got to understand. I used to work at MIT. I am familiar with Noam Chomsky. I don't feel like this is the same person. I don't feel like he's the same. I'm gonna go to some of the comments in the chat because I see them. I see the comments coming in. I do want to say thank you so much to Dick Long for the super chat. Um, thank you so much. How is this going to work? How would you implement this? I don't understand. It's weird to me. Blue Moon Red Wine said Noam Chomsky looks not too different right now from that guy they pulled out of the cave they claimed was Bin Laden. Oh my God. Oh my God. Shout out to Lucy, you guys. Blue Moon Red Wine. Definitely check her channel out, you guys. She's doing like great work over there. I don't. Whipple Dingle said, isolate yourself, Chomsky. I just don't understand how that would work. Like, I, I just, oh my God. Where Pilgrim said, oh, I didn't know about exactly what Chomsky said. Oof. Or oof. This is just, I don't, just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Chris Coleman said, I'm fairly sure smallpox doesn't spread the same way COVID does. Microsoft Word technical support said, put it this way, I was expecting worse. Mr. X said, Noam Chomsky has turned into a chum over the years. Like, what happened to this guy? What happened to Noam Chomsky? Like, oh my God. Who is going to implement this? How would this work? I got to tell you guys something about faculty. You know, love them or hate them. Faculty, like, they are really great at coming up with ideas, but it's like sometimes they'll come up with these off the wall theories, like suggestions and like ideas. but they don't know how you would actually put it into practice. They'll come up with things that are not feasible. And those of us who are not faculty will know that these things cannot be implemented because we're thinking differently than them. But they won't know that. And when we try to explain to them that, well, no, well, this wouldn't be able to work because, and here's why, all they see, it's like sometimes they have a one track view. I know this, I work with them for years. They have like a one track view, and anything outside of that, they don't see it, they don't want to hear it. They have that focus and can't like get out of that. So for Noam Chomsky to say, well, people should isolate themselves, that's the faculty speaking. Me, as an administrator, I come in with, how would you implement this? What about people that have to go to work? They can't isolate themselves. If they have to stay at home and they can't go to their job, who's going to pay their bill? See, this is how I think. I go into these deep steps, like, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? What are you going to do about this? Like, who? Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. Yes, vote local, but don't forget offices to serve in state capital and ballot initiatives. Massachusetts is state with 2022 ballot initiative creating 4% tax on incomes that exceed 1 million for education and transport purposes. That is very true. We had ranked choice voting on the ballot in Massachusetts last year. It didn't pass, unfortunately. The question was confusing for a lot of people. Some people didn't even know what it was about. They're like, what? But yeah, that is true. Thanks so much for the super chat, Roger. Eric said, big thing missing from all of this: science and evidence. It's, it's just, who comes up with, it's like sometimes like people, they'll interview someone who is very well known scholar, and it's like that person can say whatever they want, and just because they are a scholar, people will like buy into it. Like if Noam Chomsky said, actually, if you jump off of a building, you have a such and such percentage chance of living, you should try it out sometime. Like, people will believe it just because he's a scholar. A lot of times people don't question it. They think that because they're scholars, they know everything. I always say you should question as much as possible. As much as possible. Can't just take someone's word for it just because they're a scholar. They're not always right. They've been wrong about things. Dick Long said Chomsky is late for the seniors lunch special, and he joins Uncle Joe because he has his eyes on a floozy. Her name is Ethel, and he also likes to sniff her hair. Wow. Wow. Oh my God. You have to change your name. I said your full name again this time. You guys see his name? Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't know. Deep Moody Purple Blue said, being told to shut the F up and get jabbed is a pretty stupid way to go about it. We have many legitimate questions and no transparency or accountability from so-called authorities. It's a good point. That's a good point. E. Heller said Richard extended. Okay, see, now you're just trying to get me to say the name again. Like now you Thank you so much for the super chat. Justin said, you'd think what he is saying kind of makes sense, but it literally ignores all nuance. They come up with ideas. They don't know how it's gonna happen. They don't know how you're gonna implement this. Like all of a sudden, people don't need to work. What's up, no? Like all of a sudden, people don't need to go to work. It's just done. Impossibly Black said, anybody notice how natural immunity, those who recovered from it, and herd immunity are no longer talked about? Oh, damn. I didn't think about that. I did not think about that. See, you guys, like, you guys got you introduce me to new ideas all the time. That is really interesting though. Now I'm thinking more. B team says Chomsky seems to think everybody can work from home. Yo, this okay. So this is what I was saying. This is how faculty think, man. They come up with these ideas and as if everybody has. They'll come up with things and be like, yeah, and you could just go to such and such. They assume everybody has a car. Everybody can just work from home. Everybody has adequate childcare because they have these things. Oh, Ryan, every time I see this woman, she's just walking doing her crazy laugh. LMAO. It's true. Every time I see Kamala, it's the same thing. Like, show her doing something. All right, JD starting up. I know many don't get notified. And that is perfect because it is 8:22. It is about my time. I usually go for like an hour and a half. And so I hope you enjoyed the news tonight. I don't know what we're gonna do about Noam, you guys. Somebody go back and find the real Noam Chomsky. Somebody, please. Anybody. I don't know who. I don't know who this is. All right, guys. It's definitely time for the weekend. Not gonna keep you much longer. Definitely go check out Jimmy Dore. I hear he's gearing up, so I might have to check that out myself. And as always, you guys, I take the weekend off. I'll be back on Monday. Come here Monday. Danny Haifong will be here. He's got a lot to talk about growing up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and about gentrification. That is going to be a good conversation. As always, have a good night. Keep up the fight.